Hi everyone! Remember how we were talking about events before? Well, we're going to get into that a little bit more. This time we're going to look at hyperbole, which is an exaggeration that can't possibly be true. For example, if somebody said, look, if we have to stop the car again, we will never get there. Now, never is an exaggeration. They'll get there just a little bit later, but they've exaggerated and said they'll never get there. That's called a hyperbole. So you're exaggerating something that can't possibly be true. So sometimes you might think about what you want to exaggerate and you might think, oh, I'm going to talk about the size of something. It's longer than the Great Wall of China, which is such a long, huge wall all across China. Oh, it was wider than a ship. So even though it's not actually wider than a ship, you might say something is wider than a ship just to exaggerate how wide it is. Oh my goodness, that treehouse was so tall it was higher than the moon. So you're just exaggerating, just trying to make your point that it was very high. What could be bigger than the whole world that you might say? Oh, look, I got this huge box the other day. It was bigger than the whole world. Really, a box is not going to be bigger than the whole world, but that's the exaggeration. So that's hyperbole, and it kind of adds some fun and imagination to your writing. It could be a sound, so you might say, oh my goodness, stop all that racket in there. You sound louder than a rocket launch. Or you might be somewhere and say, oh, it's quieter in here than a library, even if it's not. You might say, oh, you've got sunburnt, you look redder than a cherry, even though you don't look redder than an actual cherry. You're just exaggerating. So you might use time. You might say forever, never, older, younger. You have to think about which part you want to emphasize in the sentence. Which part do you want to really make a point of in your sentence? And think about how much can you exaggerate it. How much can you exaggerate it? So let's have a go now and move these over. Here's some hyperbole for you. She is older than the hills. Well, she's not actually older than the hills. It just means she's very old. Which one would you move across? I think this one here. His brain is the size of a pea. That's if you're thinking that someone is not very smart. Let's have a look. Could it be somebody that's very hungry or somebody that's cutting off a branch while he's sitting on the branch? I think it might be that one. He is as big as an elephant. Well, I think it might be this guy over here. Is that what you would have chosen? He's not actually as big as an elephant, but it's proving the point that he's pretty big. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. You couldn't actually eat a horse, but people say that. Could be one of these. I might not do all of them so that you can have a turn of them. I have told you 1,000,000 times not to lie. That might be something a parent says to a child. I've told you 1,000,000 times not to lie. They haven't actually said it 1,000,000 times. It's a bit of an exaggeration. This is taking forever. Like if you're in a car ride and you're just saying, are we going to get there soon? When are we there? Are we there yet? I'm freezing. Can just mean that you're cold. You're not actually freezing like an ice cube, but you just feel cold. Or I'm starving. You're not actually starving, but you feel really, really hungry. So you can have a turn of those ones. So now we're going to bring my ideas to life using hyperbole. So I wrote, we have a street carnival twice a year. There are market stalls, a stage for music and dance performances and tables. Now that's kind of boring, even though it describes what's going on. Let's try and use hyperbole to make it a bit more exciting. We have a street carnival twice a year. Chairs and tables cover every inch of the car park, and every man and his dog in the local area comes along. Now that's a bit of an exaggeration. Even though there are chairs and tables all over the place, they don't cover every tiny little inch of the whole car park. there's still spaces in between, but it makes it seem grander and I'm exaggerating it. And every man and his dog, sometimes people say it's like, it's not actually every single person in the local area that come along, but it makes it feel like that. So let's have a look at this sentence, and you can help me with this. People buy food from food trucks and eat, talk, and watch performers all night until they either fall asleep at their table or until the sun comes up. Now, both of those are an exaggeration because everybody gets to go home and sleep at home. But I'm trying to exaggerate it to say it's like a night that stretches on and goes on for a really long time. So people buy food from food trucks and eat and talk and watch performers all night until... I like the idea of falling asleep at the table. I think that's so funny. Until they fall asleep at the table. But I could have said until the sun comes up. So now it's time to brainstorm your ideas. You're going to have a look at think about an event that, so maybe the fireworks event, and you're going to think the are louder than So let's have a think. What about the fireworks? Let's start off with the fireworks because we know that that's there. The fireworks are louder than, Well, should we have fireworks? Maybe we'll put fireworks in that second one for the colourful one, and I'll have a different one up here. I might have another one. I'm going to choose the children. The children are running around playing and they're so loud. The children are louder than, what could they be that's like an exaggeration that they're not actually louder than? I'm going to say the children are louder than animals in the zoo. Are they louder than animals in the zoo? Maybe they are actually louder. Maybe that's not enough of an exaggeration. Maybe I'll change that and I'll say they are louder than a rock concert. They're louder than the speakers at a rock concert, because you have these huge speakers that play really loud music. So I could have something like that. The children are louder than the speakers at a rock concert. The fireworks are more colourful than, what could I say they're more colourful than? You can have a think of something that's really, really colourful. Even if they're not more colourful than that, you want to exaggerate it to say, look how colourful they are. And what are some of the last things? The something is longer than the something else. So let's see. What could you think of here that's at the event? I'm not really sure what's at your event. Is there tables? Is there a fire? Is there a line? The queue? The line for the barbecue is longer than, and you want to try and say that it's a really, really long line. So you've got to try and think of something. It's longer than a football field, or it's longer than an aeroplane. Like you want to try and make it sound like it's very, very long, even though it's an exaggeration. And that comes to the end. So now you can have a look back through your writing and think, can I use this in my writing? Did I use an idiom, which is a word or a phrase that isn't meant to be the same? A simile, which compares two different things, like something like, or something as something else? Or did I use personification, where I give objects or animals human qualities? Did I use hyperbole, which is an exaggeration that can't possibly be true? And did I use onomatopoeia, a word that names a sound but also sounds like that sound? So if you've used all of these literary devices, your writing is going to be so rich and full and very interesting for the readers to read. And I can't wait to find out more about your place. Bye.